This is advice to all professional musicians and teachers. It doesn't really matter what instrument you play or teach. It's smart advice that I took many, many years ago. And anyway, what is this advice that I want to tell you? There's not a lot of guarantee in the music world for anything. You got a contract to play in an orchestra, a professional Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra. Great. Now that's pretty decent and pretty reliable, but some of these symphonies and orchestras are becoming defunct. They're not receiving the sponsorship anymore and the funding. And of course, if you happen to have been in a symphony or an orchestra like that, that no longer had the funding, it went defunct, it went belly up. And where'd that leave you? If you're, playing an instrument, that left you searching for something else. And likely it wasn't very easy, whatever you got into, or maybe you never got into anything else like that after that. But that's pretty reliable if you can get it. The other thing would be a contracted teacher somewhere. Most typically in the secondary education system, public school teaching. That's actually why I got my music ed degree, so I had something to fall back on. So being a band director, being a K through 5 music elementary teacher, a choir director, those kinds of things add a lot more to your job security as a musician and a teacher. Problem is, and let me give you one reason I left California. It's not the only reason. Actually, the reason I left, not California, but the reason I left Northern California, I had been doing really, really well, and I had a tremendous private student roster when I was living in Walnut Creek, California. I mean, I think at one time I had 35 kids, and most of these kids were 45-minute lessons. Some were an hour every week. I mean, I was kind of making bank, for doing this thing. Well, in 2009, Mount Diablo Schools cut all of, what was it, all of fourth grade. I believe it was all of fourth grade music for the entire school district, affecting around 300,000 kids. That I noticed that hurt me as a private teacher about 4 to 5 months after that happened. So I just noticed that kids dropped off. I noticed not as many kids were starting. And then the next year, 2010, man, they put the last nail in the coffin. They cut fifth grade music. So now there's, at least at that time, now I don't know how it is now because I moved out of that area, but in 2010, we're talking no music in the elementary school program. Now that's bad enough, but what happened to the hundreds and hundreds of music teachers like us that thought they had job stability? Well, they ended up, many of them being unemployed and looking to do the kind of stuff that I was doing. So that made it, how bad did it make? Well, all of a sudden you had hundreds of people that had contracted positions, and then now they were doing what I was doing. So instead of having 35 students every week, it went all the way down to, I think I slipped below 10, because there were just so many people flooding the market to teach privately. So, but those are the two main ways that you can ensure you won't continue or have to fall back on being a musical whore. Yes, and I'm going to do another tutorial video about that for your entertainment. We, all of us musicians that have ever been paid even $1 for doing anything related to our instrument, whether it's teaching it or playing it, we all eventually had to become what I refer to as a very provocative term, a musical whore. And I'm going to go more into detail about that. But what is that? A musical whore is what we all were, and some of us still are at some points. Not me anymore. But basically that means that when the gig comes up and your name gets called, you better show the F up. When they call you for that $50 gig that you got to travel an hour and a half to across town, you better go do that gig. Subscribe, click on my website link, and go on to the next video. It's lovely out here.
Have a great day.